Okay, so I wanted to talk about the bench press, a few things that can help, a few tips for the bench press, some very basic, simple tips. Now with all the three lifts, one of the most important things is to establish a very strong foundation, right? Now there's some things that are connected, so if you do it for one, it kind of applies to another, right, to the other lift. So one thing for the bench press is that when you're pressing, you don't want your shoulders to flare out, to come out like this. This means you have to push a longer range of motion, right? Like this, right? You want your shoulders back, and you want to pinch your scapula together. You want to be completely solid, like this, in this position. And your back should be super tight, right? And your lower back arched. And you lower the weights, lower the weights, lower the weights. Tight, 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 press, right? So when you're pressing, never should your shoulders come out like this. You should always stay, I like calling it in the socket, like in the socket, right? Your chest up, down, down, press up, right? That's one thing. So the way you initiate also another way to get back tightness, upper back tightness, is squeezing the mess out of the bar, right? You squeeze it very hard on the bar. Take a deep breath, unrack the weight, right? Before you unrack and before you take a deep breath, when you set yourself up on the bench, you want to squeeze your scapula together and down, together and down a little bit, right? So you squeeze them together and a little bit down, right? And then you unrack, take a deep breath, tighten your abs, your glutes, your hip flexors, your hamstrings. Everything has to be tight. Good foundation, right? Then you take a deep breath. Actually, when you have a very good setup, your back and your legs and everything, you're in a very uncomfortable position. It's not a comfortable position. It's an uncomfortable position. So you need to understand that. It needs to be practiced. The moment you loosen up, you're going to lose power, right? So that's one thing, is to really engage your back into the lift. Let it have a very, very strong base. You shouldn't be feeling like you're pushing the weights up. More like a feeling of like driving your back into the bench. Like you're pushing a wall away from you and you're back into the other wall. Like this, you see? So you never want any kind of looseness or the shoulders coming forward like this. Always like this. The second point I wanted to talk about, there's a lot of things, is the leg drive, right? Let's say you're lying on a bench. This is the bench, right? Like this. And your legs are here, right? This is your legs. You press up like this. You create, let's say this is the bench. You create, and this is the top, this is the rack over here. You create a force that goes this way, like this. So when you drive your legs, it just helps you to raise your chest up and helps you that initial pop, right, on the bottom of the chest. So it helps you to engage your back. It like sends a wave of energy into your back that needs to be sent up, right? So the wave needs to be sent into your back, upper back, trap region, and then that helps you to get power off the bottom. So everything needs to be tight. Your glutes need to be tight, your hamstrings, your lower back, your upper back, your lats, everything, right? You squeeze the crap out of the bar, unrack, lower the weight, and drive your legs. Drive your legs, and you keep your shoulders in, and then you drive up, right? So those are two main things. One is understanding your back tightness from the upper back to the lower back, glutes, hamstrings, and the leg drive. The leg drive, if I'm lying down this way, you see, I'm driving a force. The force is going to be, this is the bench, the force goes this way. That's the rack. That's the top of the bench. It goes like this, right? So it takes a lot of practice. These are not things that you just learn overnight. A good way to practice leg drive is to first do maybe let's say speed reps or 60% of your max, 50 to 60%, and do like sets, maybe 5 sets of 8 reps, or let's say 5 sets of 5 reps, 8 sets of 5 reps like this, and you do 1 rep with no leg drive, just upper body. The next rep, you drive the legs. The next rep, upper body. The next set, leg drive. Then you do 1 set, just only upper body. Next set, upper body and the leg drive. You see? So it teaches you to build a mind-body connection with what it feels like, what it's supposed to feel like on the bench, right? And another thing to practice is also practicing the overall back tightness. right? Just to practice your setup. It's called a setup. Right? You want to bring the upper back closer to the butt to create an arch. This takes a lot of flexibility. You want to bring your feet back as much as you can. And you want to reduce the distance the bar has to travel. Kind of like creating a decline bench situation on a flat bench. You see, this takes a lot of practice, and it's a very, very, very uncomfortable position, right? Some people will have less arch in the back, some people will have more. But it's something that everybody thinks they need to be like someone else. No, you need to find out what works for you. You see, some general principles will be the same, but like the gripping the bar hard, back tightness, leg drive, these are all similar. But the way in which you implement it is slightly different depending on your body type, depending on so many things. So learn to practice your technique a lot.